Going on, beautiful people? Listen, wholesaling real estate is one of the most powerful investment strategies that you can use, especially as a new real estate investor. I'll share a few reasons with you why. Number one, it's little risk. Okay. When you start fixing and flipping, it can be very risky and you can get yourself into some hot water very quickly. Number two, it's a low barrier to entry. Am I saying that right? Basically, it doesn't cost a lot to get started and actually start making money in real estate investing. And thirdly, it allows you to build capital that you can pour back into your business, create additional income, and leverage that for additional strategies. And on this video, I want to share with you a beginner's guide, so to speak, on how you can get started wholesaling real estate this year and transform your life and bless people and make a kingdom impact. So before I dive into it, please like, subscribe, and share. The channel is growing. Thank you so much. And that's all because of y'all. My goal is to make sure that I am bringing you actual content that you can use. No fluff, no glamour, none of that extra stuff, actual content that you can use and leverage to help you get your deals. Okay. Now, I want to pull up this guide that I have here, and we're going to go through these simple steps. When it comes to real estate investing, specifically wholesaling, I want you to know it's super simple. Okay. Not necessarily easy, but simple. Okay. It's going to take work. It's going to take effort. It's going to take energy, just like anything else, right? If you are wanting a get rich quick scheme, this isn't it. Okay. But I promise you, this can be a life changing strategy like it was for me and thousands of other people that I have personally coached that have used this strategy. Okay. Number one, when we're getting started with wholesaling real estate, we need to identify properties. Okay. What I mean by identify properties is that we are looking for distressed properties. One way to do this is leverage PropStream. There will be a link for a 7-day free trial in PropStream. I want you to go. I'm actually going to give you some homework. I want you to click on that link. I want you to sign up. It's a 7-day free trial. And I want you to actually look at properties that are in foreclosure and see how many properties you have in foreclosure in your area, in your county. Okay. If you have less than 1,000 in your county, I want you to think about doing this virtually, right? So if you live somewhere like in Dinosaur, Colorado, I want you to try to do this somewhere in like Houston, Texas, right? Or Atlanta, Georgia, or Columbus, Ohio, right? Let's find a large metropolitan area, okay? We're looking for people who are in distress situations, right? I do want to kind of clarify that the properties themselves don't necessarily have to be falling apart and breaking down, right? But people can be in a distressed situation. They could have gotten sick and fell behind on their payments. The house could be beautiful. It could not need anything in repairs, but they're still in a distressed situation to where they need to sell. So we need to identify people specifically who are in distressed situations, right? Now, once we do that and you've pulled your list from PropStream, now we need to engage in the sellers, okay? I don't need you spending time trying to figure out what to offer, what to say, all of those other things. You need to get on the phone and start talking to these sellers and having communication to say, hey, Mr. Seller, my name's Clifford. I'm a local real estate investor in your area. I'm reaching out to see, would you be open to a cash offer on your property? That's simple. I literally just gave you my intro right there in 30 seconds. That is the intro that I use for every single one of my conversations with sellers. Okay. It doesn't matter what list it came from, whether it's pre-foreclosure, probate, tax delinquent, you name it. That's the intro. Because what ends up happening so many times with investors is they will spend 10, 20, 30 minutes trying to run comps, look up the property, look up the mortgage, see what they owe, all these things before they had a conversation with the seller, just to call the seller and the seller say, nope, not interested, right? And they hang up the phone. If this has happened to you, click comment below and let me know, right? But I promise you, If it hasn't happened to you, it will. And imagine, what if you spend 20 minutes comping these properties before you call just for them to tell you no? And then imagine if you did that 4 or 5 times a day, how much of your time has been eaten up, right? Make contact with the sellers. If you're not making contact, you're not getting contract. Okay. Now, once you do this, you're going to make your offer on that property and get it under contract. This is the golden formula that you're going to use. Okay. And I can explain this more in depth in another video, but it's 70% of the ARV minus repairs. So the ARV stands for after repair value. Whatever that house is worth fully fixed up in today's standards, just multiply that by 0.70, right? That's 70%, and then minus in here. A quick example of this would be, let's say that ARV is $100,000 on that property, right? I'm going to multiply that by 0.70. That's 70,000 minus $20,000 in repairs. Let's say, for example, it needed 20K in repairs. My maximum allowable offer on that property is 50K. That's what I make on that property. I get it under contract. All right. Now, the next thing is we want to start to market this deal, because when it comes to wholesaling, we're not the ones that have to bring that 50K to the closing table. We actually assign that property to an end buyer, and they're the ones that's going to bring that to the closing table, right? So you're going to want to be a part of any type of communities like the Real Estate Corral Investors Network. That's a self-plug there, right? Where you have access to private money lenders. I mean, I'm sorry, not private money lenders, but end buyers. You do actually have access to private money lenders as a member in the community. But anywho, join networking events, partner with other serious wholesalers or seasoned wholesalers, so to speak, right? Once you do that, you negotiate an offer for the property, right? You add your assignment fee on top of it. So if you have that property under contract at 50,000, you may assign that to an end buyer at 60,000 and make 10K on that. And then of course, now the main thing and the last thing is handling any delays, or basically I need to say just making sure that that goes to closing, right? Would probably be a better term for that. So once you actually have your seller locked in, your end buyer locked in, now you facilitate the close just to make sure that that transaction goes smoothly, and then just get paid, y'all. It's that simple, right? But here's the thing. I want you to focus on one step at a time, right? This is the first step, identifying properties, okay? The next step, engaging sellers, making offers. I don't need you trying to plan 10 steps ahead, okay? And find an end buyer before you got a deal. That's where new investors get lost. That's where new investors get overwhelmed, because they're trying to think about the end goal. Well, at the end of the day, we just need to get in the car and start driving. Okay, so I pray this was helpful. Let me know in the comments what questions you have, but y'all have a beautifully blessed one. See you on the next one.